You can just sit up here and just ask questions to the wall, Fugazi, because you're being real Fugazi right now. And so when you're done talking and you're ready to let me ask you some questions and talk logically, I will engage with you.
Okay, cool. So the topic for today, everyone that's watching, is going to be patriarchy versus matriarchy and what is best for society, which is a net negative or net positive for society. And, Princella, I'm going to go ahead and leave it to you. I believe that you will be on the side of defending the matriarchy. So go ahead and, if you want to go ahead and give an opening, now's your time.
Well, that's an actual incorrect assumption, because I believe that there needs to be a combination of the two. The reason for that is because male and female have both different natures, and a male has to be in a patriarchal setup because that is what his biology is designed to be under. However, in order to facilitate growth and sustainability for the planet, an egalitarian system is much more conducive for the planet, society, and communities. When you're under a patriarchal system, what you have is complete dominance, which actually creates a whole host of issues that can be analyzed throughout nature.
Okay. So you said that, men and women think that we need both a patriarchy and matriarchy system, but then you went to say that we need a system that's not actual, patriarchy. It should be egalitarian.
It has to be a combination of the two. So
it has to be a combination of the two. Go ahead and explain. So
I kind of feel like we already kind of living in a society to where they already trying to combine patriotism and matriotism together, the matriarchy and patriarchy together, because you got to look at the forms of how the household is run, how usually the woman kind of keeps the household in check and the man goes out and actually fights against the world. So I kind of believe that both are already kind of combined a little bit when you think about it.
I got a question for you. So egalitarianism, I mean, the communists tried that and it failed. So why would you take on that idea to try to equalize everything when male and females aren't equal?
Well, that's not what egalitarianism means, and this is
that's what I was going to say. That is the definition of it, but what's your definition of it?
Again, there needs to be a combination of the two. Now, what do I mean by combination of the two? Do you agree that males and females should be educated in two different setups? The schools, boys should have their own schools and girls should have theirs. Do you agree with that?
No.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is a problem, because males and females are different and they cannot be trained the same. So if you believe that males and females are different.
I just want to give the egalitarianism definition. Is a school of thought within political philosophy that builds on the concept of social equality, prioritizing it for all people. I don't fully, I believe that we have equal rights for as, we all being able to go to the same restaurants, eat food. There's a big difference between men and women. We're not going to be equal on everything, which, we see in sports.
Then why would you advocate for something that does not facilitate the difference between the two?
Yeah, so you said that, do I believe that, male and female should have the same schooling?
No, separate schooling.
Separate schooling. Okay,
yes.
Separate schooling. I said no. I said no because you didn't give me more information. The reason being is because if we're going from kindergarten to all of elementary school to middle school to high school, then to college, at the end of the day, currently the system is what it is right now, where it's both male and female. They are in school together. So you're saying that, okay, fair enough. Would you say that it's failing for women? There's more women that has education, that's getting higher education than men. So
this is what I understand where she's coming from, and I think what Cooley might be failing to realize. I think what she means is that it's failing on a thinking perspective for women, because they're kind of being raised to think like men also. So it'll be different if they were taught in separate schools and men being taught in separate schools. But we talking about a structure that's outside of the United States. The United States isn't built like that. We're built to feed off of the man and the woman. We're in an extreme form of capitalism. So we need the male and the female to act accordingly. And I'm gonna be honest, think about it. If you was living in a society like that, it wouldn't be as entertaining, but it probably would thrive the best. But men and women cohabitating together like this and learning and growing together, it's more entertaining and it's more profitable for the United States. But on a scale of being the most ideal probably for family structure, what she's talking about probably would be the best for is like men and women being taught separately.
Is it failing for women and for men?
That is because the school systems are more designed to facilitate females. So, and they're not designed to facilitate males, hence why the males are failing. And so they need separate schooling. If that wasn't the case, then you wouldn't have Dr. Umar up here running around speaking about making a boys' school. So at the end of the day,
so I could agree with that part of it. So you're saying that, well, here's my stance on it, right? Stats show that women currently right now with the current system, they're getting higher education than males, right? So I can agree that there should be some changes with the school system. Now, that doesn't mean that we need to separate both male and female from the school. Oh, you get what I'm saying? So we can make changes in the school.
So let me have a boys' school?
Well, let me finish. There are all girls schools and there are all male schools, but let me just finish. So you said that, well, I think that what's best is that we have a separation of the two. Currently, our system definitely needs to be updated. Our education system does need to be updated, where, they have better systems in place that is more suitable for men. That part I do agree with. I don't agree with the fact that we need to fully separate the two. That's the part I don't agree with. So that's different. You get what I'm saying? But okay, go ahead. You're good. You wanted to make a point?
I think in a society, I'm gonna go ahead and make my point, Cooley. I think in a society like we're in, it's not feasible to even make something like that happen. But you do have the choice with your own family. If you want to put your daughter or son in an all, gender school based on their gender, if you want to do that, you can. And I will say this. I think that those kids sometimes, I feel like they have a better structure of learning when it comes down to how to operate, like, men being around other guys, when it comes down to the competition factor, how to deal with men in society, because that's a big thing. I think the societies we live in now, it's easy to hide away from everything. You can hide away from your problems. You can hide away from your enemies. But when you're in a setting that you're around men have to fight and learn. I think from an early age, that can help. And when it comes down with the women, I think it'll help also because they get more of the probably more of a feminine learning aspect, and it keeps them from seeing the nature of men at an early age. So honestly, it would just produce a more feminine woman for when it's time for her to marry a guy. Both understand each other. I think that's how I look at it.
Males and females have completely different brain wiring, and they need their own schools and setups to facilitate their natures. Now, if we are dealing in truth and reality, then we can agree that there is a difference between the two. And the current setup is causing a lot of dysfunction between both parties. So clearly,
I ain't gonna lie. Every time I see Princella, I be thinking of, yeah, Glow, Cuban, no Cuban, my shit in layers, ho. She look just like Glorilla to me, man. I ain't even gonna lie.
patriarchy
Yeah,
is
Glow.
not working either, because it is failing, because the United States itself is a patriarchal system.
Got you. So let me just ask you a question, because my stance is this. It sounds silly that you're making a big claim to say, hey, the system isn't working with men and women being in school together. Instead of fixing the problems that's in that school, let's just separate the two. Would you use this same logic to a relationship? People have relationships, both men and women, and they're in a relationship, and there's problems in that relationship, in the household. would you use that same logic and say that men and women need to be separated from the home?
I absolutely would, because based on the studies, it doesn't matter if you don't like that. The first question is this:
Okay.
Are we looking for a solution to a problem, or are we looking to just go back and forth about who's right and who's wrong? Because what I just presented to you was a fact about the difference between males and females. Now, can
Yeah.
we agree that there is a major difference between males and females? Yes or no?
Yeah, but the
Okay.
correlation doesn't equals. So you're trying to correlate something and say, well, male and females are different. Like this is the cause of our differences. And you're trying to correlate that to, well, since we are different, we shouldn't have relationships, male and female, even living in the same home, or male and female even being taught in the same school.
No.
That
no,
doesn't make sense
no,
to me. So I
no.
have a question for you.
Okay.
I'm not saying it should be exactly how she's saying it, but I do believe that it possibly might help to have some form of separation. All public schools are going to be all co-ed, so you really won't know because the majority of the school system is co-ed. But I will say this: when it comes down to like a man and a woman living in a household, I will say if that man is working more and has a better like separate, distance from his wife instead of being up under her all the time, I do believe that actually helps a little bit more. You kind of want to have some mystery. Now, you still got to be a guy that your woman actually likes, but I do believe that being up under your wife all the time probably ain't the best thing. That's just how I feel.
If you don't mind.
If you don't mind, if I ask you.
Okay, sure, go ahead.
a question.
Yeah, go ahead. You ladies first.
If there
I'll be a
is
gentleman.
if there is a difference, just like there's a difference in each child, and they need to be taught differently because what works for one does not work for all. If you understand that, then we understand that even smaller classrooms that focus more on individuals work better than classrooms with a lot of individuals that learn differently. Do you agree with that?
Okay, that still
Damn,
doesn't
Cooley can't
correlate to
agree to
separating
nothing.
the genders. So
Listen,
we all
listen,
know
we're
the
talking
truth about.
training. We're
I
talking
got it.
about training people differently. And if
I
males
understand that,
function
yeah.
and learn differently because males need more physical activity. This is a fact. This is not something, and as a male, I don't even understand why you would be disagreeing with that.
Yeah, no, you're not. You're missing the point that I'm disagreeing with. So let me state my position.
Yeah, Glow.
Against your position, right?
Mhm.
The disagreement is this.
Cuban.
You're saying that, well, men and women are different. I agree. Everyone knows that. Any person in their right mind knows that, right? Since men and women are different, it causes problems when we are either being educated together or if we are in a relationship together. So since there are problems in school and in relationships, we should separate the two, meaning removing the man and the woman in different schools and removing the man and the woman into separate homes. My position, that's your position. My position is that that's illogical. What we should do, right, is actually work on our differences. So you stated something that, well, like the slow classes and stuff. Well, the slow classes are with people that need some extra help. It'll be an extra teacher, or they'll minimize how many kids can be in a school. I mean, how many kids can be in that class. So instead of having 20 students, it'll be 10 students and 2 extra teachers, right? And that would produce more help. I would agree that does produce more help.
I'm online.
You good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. I would agree that
Yeah,
does
Glow.
produce more help, but you still wouldn't have to separate the genders to get that done. You can still keep the genders in the same school to get that done. You get what I'm saying? So let's say if there's currently how it is now, males and females are in school together. Let's say if the boys are behind because of they need some, we got more testosterone, so we need a longer gym. Or we need, certain different games in a classroom to keep us focused, whatever it may be. I'm not a teacher or anything, right? But let's say if there's something that we need currently in society, which I do agree with, since there are more women, graduating college than there are men, obviously it does need, the education system does need some change. I'm just saying that it doesn't need the change that you're speaking about, the change of completely separating the genders. We can still do it in the same school, but just change up the systems that we currently have.
Now I'm wondering what Cooley talking about. How does that look? See, I hate to say this, but Cooley do a lot of wordplay, and he don't never like to admit to really anything. So there are certain truths that she is speaking on. Now, is it living in reality? No. Is it possibly going to ever happen? No. But I get what she's saying. In like a perfect society, strong countries usually separate the boys and the girls, and that's how you raise strong men and you raise strong women in a feminine setting. So I get what she's saying and I get what Cooley's saying, but at the same time, Cooley like to run around the answers, and that shit kind of annoying a little bit, to not even be able to acknowledge certain things. Like, I can acknowledge what she's saying, don't have to mean that it's going to happen or it's a reality.
Does that make sense? Instead of like, oh, you could speak, go ahead.
I just want to make sure I can speak.
But she boiling over there.
Now,
yeah, Glow.
You said what I said is illogical. Are there any examples of any religion, culture, or school of thought that implements a separation between the genders? Any?
Pretty sure it is.
Your question is there any schools, or I don't understand the question.
No. You said that what I said is illogical, right?
Correct, because
because I'm giving you every opportunity to speak, but you keep cutting me off. Now, remember, the rules were you let me land my plane, I let you land yours, and I'm doing exactly what you said.
But you asked me a question, and you didn't want to answer, so I was going to answer your question. Okay, so complete your question, and then I'll speak. Go ahead.
Okay. Are there any examples anywhere in the world that roll by a school of thought to separate the genders? Anywhere in the world?
Is there any, let me just make sure I got the question right. Is there anywhere in the world that deals with in schools, that's what we're speaking about, where they separate the genders?
Anywhere.
Anywhere. Mm-hmm. I mean, are you speaking about, so let me get some clarification to the question.
I
don't really understand the question,
to
be honest.
If I'm illogical, then there would be no institution, no country, anywhere that will facilitate a practice of separating the genders, giving the genders their own spaces. Because if
there you go. That's a more clear question. Of course, yeah. So there's many things where they separate the genders. We got different bathrooms, different locker rooms, different sports, multitude of different things.
Schools, okay, because this idea where you're saying that I'm illogical to separate males and females out of schools is illogical on your part because they do exist. Okay.
I think the thing about it is they exist, but they kind of offer it by choice. I'm not sure I'm pretty sure certain countries that possibly do separate mandatory, possibly certain cultures, religious practices, but in America it's usually by choice. If you want your child to go to a all girls school, cool. If you want your son to go to all boys school, cool. It's your choice.
Okay? And so even in the Nation of Islam, they literally separate them, put them on two different sides of the entire the church, whatever you call it, the mosque. Okay, you have schools where you have all boys schools and all girls schools. Okay, so this idea that what you're saying is that I'm illogical is really just an intellectual bash. It's a play, it's a lower on my intelligence, which I don't like that. What I'm trying to do is have an intelligent conversation with you based on things that actually make sense. And the one thing that absolutely makes sense is the fact that men and women are different, which means that they are oil and water. And one thing about oil and water is it does not mix. That is a fact. And with males and females mixing, guess what? It is eternal chaos. And you all have been having the same conversations for the last 15 years without a single solution to your conversation. Okay, so obviously what you all are talking about online ain't working. So what I'm doing is proposing a different solution that does not sound cookie cutter and just a whirlwind of trauma and trash. Okay.
All right, let me interject, Glow. So when do men and women come together? Because that's gonna be the strange part. Because you're saying when they mix, they're not supposed to mix, but to propagate a society, they have to mix. So it takes a man and a woman to have a baby and to create the next generation. So if they never mix, it has to be a mixing point. It has to be a time when men and women come together. Their training on how they come together can be tweaked. It can be fixed a little, but they have to mix eventually. So now I'm curious as to Glow, Princella, on how the mixing part starts. Because it has to eventually. That's not ideal for a society to work.
So there needs again to be a combination of the two, matriarchy and patriarchy, because the male is wired for dominance. He cannot be in a situation that does not allow for a dominance hierarchy. You all need that. So you can't get rid of patriarchy. As long as you have men, there will be a patriarchy. Okay. So I don't know what conversation you were looking for, but I'm a person of solutions. I'm not here to debate you. I'm here to have a conversation with you, sir.
I think even the matriarchy like to have like certain tiers of dominance. I mean, let's say you have an all-woman society. You think there wouldn't be a woman that probably want to be like maybe more of the leader or something like that, or like the highest elder, or who has the most knowledge. I think it's just people at that point. I don't think even if it was all women, it would still be a structure. I don't think it would just be like, oh, everybody's just a flower and everybody got the same amount of petals. It would be very different. It would still be structured, I believe, like a patriarchy, probably, for real.
Yeah. So to get some clarification. So you're speaking about, you're making a micro. So you're speaking about schools, and you're saying, well, there's problems when males and females are in school together. So that's a macro. Then you speak about micro. You say that, oh, well, you asked me a question, where has there ever been schools, and, in these schools, do they separate the boys and the girls? That's on a macro level. So on a macro level, yeah, we have different locker rooms. On a macro level, yeah, we have different sports. On a micro level, yeah, we have different, bathrooms and different locker rooms. On a micro level, yeah, we play different sports. On a macro level, right? On a macro level, there are currently already all girls schools. There are currently already all boys schools. And those schools they do what they need to do. On a macro level, you're proposing, right, to have only boys schools and only girls schools. Not only that, you're proposing to have males and females, husband and wife, live separately. Do I have that correct?
Let me ask you this question, because
she should have answered that.
Wait.
Whoa. There is
She should have answered that question. I'm not even gonna lie. She getting a little emotional. I'm not gonna lie.
Answer that question, though.
Sir, there is a such thing as living apart together. And those relationships have found to be much more healthy than those who cohabitate. Okay.
I don't have any evidence on that. You don't have any evidence on that.
Actually, I do,
so
because
actually answer the question.
There is research on it.
I got it. Princella, answer the question.
Sir.
Just answer the question so we have it clear.
Sir, I'm answering your question.
Glow.
Separatism is the key, because men and women
got it. Because we don't
differences.
mix.
You don't mix.
Okay, got it.
Show
Okay,
me the
so
evidence where y'all are working without chaos.
you say we don't. We don't
all
mix. Princella, look in the mirror. Your mother and your father created you. We mix. When I look in the mirror, my mother and my father created me. We mix. What I'm telling you is that we all have differences. The thing is, you want to run away from differences. What happens is when women get in leadership positions, they want to break up things. They want to separate things. That's why when a woman is leading the relationship, if she's leading, it will be the end of that relationship. She will cause separation. When a man is leading, he does not cause separation. He keeps it together. So at the end of
it depends on the man at that point. Also, you got men that don't know how to lead relationships as well. So, but I understand what he's saying.
Today, what you're speaking about, that we don't mix, that's nonsensical. It doesn't make sense from a biological. You said that you're a biologist. So how can you even speak about that? We don't mix. We mix perfectly. What are you talking about? It's the perfect mix.
Sir, can we have a logical discussion?
We've been having a logical
No,
discussion,
this is
but
not.
you've been speaking
Sir,
some nonsense about we
sir,
don't mix.
I'm going to ask you to stop being childish just one time. Let me
No
tell
one's
you.
being childish.
Let
I
me
was
say this.
speaking.
Let me
I,
say.
I
Let me.
fully let you speak and complete your thought out.
No,
And
what I'm
then I
saying.
just rebutted it.
I'm trying to figure out what you think is mixing because what you just said is the activity of a virus. Okay,
Got
see,
it. So,
virus, sir,
Princella, you
sir,
just said something
Man, I
that,
wanted
well,
to finish the
there are,
conversation.
you have data
Okay,
that
I
there
tell
are
you what. I
relationships.
tell you what. You go ahead and talk, and I will just sit
Cool.
here
Yeah.
and look
Listen
at
to
you.
this real quick. Listen
Yeah,
to
no,
this.
I'll listen to
Yeah,
you.
You
man.
said something. You said that I have data that men and women in relationships, when they are separated from,
Cooley, I think you'd like to hear yourself talk a little too much. To have a debate, at least let her get the point out so you can then dismantle it. Because you ain't even got the. I wanted to actually hear the full thought. Because it might have sounded like some bullshit or it might have made some sense, but you just want to interject and talk and you about to repeat what she said. It's easier for you to just let her get the thought out, then break it down.
the house, they actually thrive in it, and it does real good. I have more data than you have because there are many marriages, male and female, living in a home and they thrive and do amazing. Actually, we have facts on it. A nuclear family with a man and a woman and children living in the home, they do good. Single mother households leads to degeneracy. So what are you speaking about? Now you can say that, well, there can be it could be fully separated, living in a separate home, and then the kids go to this home at some point, and the kids go to that home at some point. That's not healthy for the kids. My standpoints would say, I would say that that's not healthy for the kids. But anyways, actually, I got a question for you about this because you spoke about egalitarianism. How does all of this tie into egalitarianism and making things equal? Because that was your main point. So how does this tie in?
Boys and girls need to see certain structures of life because we all know life is going to be pretty cut and laid out for the most part between people, general. Like you're going to have a man that's going to go to work. He's probably going to have to work more than a woman. A young boy needs to see his father leave the home, work, come back home because he's going to have to do that. And there's no way around it. But if he sees someone that's possibly home all the time, that's not the general population. Or he's up under a woman all the time, that's not that's not probably conducive for his life or will be productive for him in the future. He needs to see a father leaving. So I get what she's saying about the separation of what the child needs to see a man do and what a woman does. But it's very complex with that. But I do believe some separation is good for the family. I do believe that.
So are you saying that the separation makes us more equal?
You can just sit up here and just ask questions to the wall, Fugazi, because you're being real Fugazi right now. And so when you're done talking and you're ready to let me ask you some questions and talk logically, I will engage with you.
Well, no, I've been active listening to everything you're saying. Remember,
Yeah, Glow.
When you spoke, I asked you a question. You gave your little stance. You gave your stance, and you said, "Well, I think that the patriarchy and the matriarchy should be mixed, and it should be egalitarianism." And that's what I questioned you on. And then you brung it to school and stuff like that. And then I'm like, well, now my question for you is, how does all of this make things equal?
What is he talking about? I ain't gonna lie.
First and foremost, sir,
This nigga Cooley confusing me. Oh, I'm confused as hell.
I don't even preach equality because men and women.
Well, you said
are not,
egalitarianism.
Sir. Do you want me to drop here? Because one thing I'm not going to sit up here and do is have you interrupt me every 2 seconds every time I say a single word. Okay.
He do interrupt a lot.
You're going against your own rules. All right. So I'm not going to sit up here and deal with no child. Now you either going to talk to me like an adult. All right. You're going to talk to me like an adult and you're going to have an intelligent conversation, or we can just end this right now. Okay?
I just have simple questions for you. That's all.
What you're doing.
This man
is
talking too much.
interrupting me every time I say just a word. Okay. And so this is not a conversation. See,
You know what? I'll let you speak. I'll let you speak, and you could go ahead and get it all out, and then let me know if then can I ask you a question?
Well, you've
How about
been
that?
asking a million questions back to back, so why don't you go ahead and do that? Okay. and then I'm just gonna be quiet and let you run the show because that's what you want to do. All right.
Yeah, you do
Go
want to
ahead.
talk a little too
Are
much.
you actually going to answer my questions or no?
I don't know what you asking me because every time I get ready to answer you, you cut me off.
That is untrue. I've actually been looking for an answer to some of my questions, but it's okay. I'll do it. Let's do it this way, right? So I'll let you go ahead and I'll write the questions down real quick so I don't forget.
Because everybody can see that you're not letting me speak. I'm just saying, everybody can see that you're not letting me speak.
I'll let you speak, but here's how we'll do it. I'll write my questions down so I have it. But okay, we're speaking about patriarchy and matriarchy, and you said that it's better when it's mixed, a little bit of both. You also said that, well, I think that it should be egalitarianism. The definition that I have of egalitarian is a person who believes in equality of all people. So my question is, how does all of this lead to equality if you want to separate the genders in all facets, in the school and at the home?
Sir, life is about equity. Okay? Life is about equity and not equality. However, when you're dealing with people, you have to give everybody.
Sorry,
okay,
that's a
see,
red
to ask so
herring. You
many
just
questions.
moved away from.
You see what
I
I'm
said
saying?
you
Just let her get the thought out, even if it sounds like some bullshit, man. Let her finish it.
said
I don't got time.
egalitarianism that we
Damn.
were speaking about. You
Listen,
said equity.
I
That's
do
something
not-
totally
I
different.
do
This nigga.
not have time for this, sir, because every time I start talking, you interrupt
Yeah, but
me.
you just
Listen,
you was trying
listen,
you
I
tried
ain't
to
got
you
time for
tried to
this,
commit a
sir.
red herring. Look, she off of here, bruh. Hey, chat, we do it live. Listen,
I ain't gonna
this
lie.
what happens when you have logical discussions with women and they don't know what they speaking about, bro. She had no idea what she was speaking about. She didn't know where she wanted to go with the conversation, and I just caught her in her tracks. Like, what are you speaking about? You said egalitarianism. Egalitarianism is a person who believes all things should be equal. Then, just in that split moment, she says, well, equality, I don't believe in equality. I believe in equity. That's a red herring. You're moving, and one, that's a lie, and then two, that's a red herring. You're trying to like move away from the main topic. Like,
Bro, just some advice. And like I said, Cooley, he been doing this for, a lot longer than I have. That's cool. But you got to let the person get their thought out so you can then dismantle it. Like, you didn't even let her finish the statement so you can even like chop them up. You kept interjecting every time she said one statement, and I would have liked to hear her whole ideology behind it so then we can dissect it and break it down and really get the understanding and where the flaws are at and what's reality, what's not reality. Because some things she said probably made sense maybe back in medieval times, but it doesn't make sense in today's society. We live in America. America is generated for capitalism, of all facets, all industries, and relationships being one of them, man and woman. So to really try and combat what's going on is going to take a smart man and a smart woman coming together to control their unit. Changing the whole public, probably not going to be it. It's going to have to start within the four walls of your home, or how many other walls you got. It's going to have to start there, and then you can kind of start restructuring your families. But I wish the argument could have been restructured better, man. We really didn't get a good understanding between both of their stands, because Cooley was kind of word playing. Princella got upset because she didn't get her thoughts out, or aka Glorilla. So y'all like the video, comment below. Let me hear y'all thoughts on this. This is JayBReacts, and until next time, peace. Yeah, Glow.